What's up, everyone? How's it going? It's Weston Means here in the East Bay, your local realtor here on the ground in the East Bay. Here for your market update for the month of May 2023. We are in June right now, but we're going over the numbers as always for the last month. In general, what I've been seeing in the market, working with a lot of buyers recently, it has been very difficult for a lot of my buyers to get accepted offers right now. There still is quite a bit of competition out there in the market. It's mostly created from a very low level of inventory that we've been experiencing since the beginning of the year, which you'll see once we go into these numbers. Basically, there's just not that much for sale. And so the competition per listing is very high right now. So, I am seeing some listings stay on the market for 30, 40, 50 days if they're priced incorrectly. A lot of listing agents recently have gotten kind of like nervous, and so they price their homes closer to what they're actually looking to get for the properties. And in the end, that ends up backfiring and buyers don't go in to see it, and so they stay on the market for a long time. I'm seeing that the best strategy is still to list very low, usually at like a 99 price, just so you get a lot of heads through the door, and then that way you'll get an offer at that level, but then you'll start getting people bidding above that, which ultimately pushes the selling price higher. So, it is still somewhat tough for buyers out there, but for sellers, if your home is move-in ready and it's in a great location, and of course you price it correctly, you can still get a very high price even in this market when interest rates are above 6.5%. So I'm going to go into each of the counties that I serve. As always, you guys know the drill. We're going to do Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin County, San Francisco, San Mateo, and Santa Clara County. So let's jump right into Alameda County. So median price in Alameda County for this May was 1.26 million. This is kind of like a medium priced county in comparison to some of the other ones like Marin or Santa Clara County or San Mateo County. Prices get very, very high in some of those counties. Month to month, that's a change of 2.9%. So that means the price went up 2.9% from April to May this year. Not a very significant change there. It's down 16.7% from last year. So prices are still lower than they were last year. And that's for an obvious reason. Obviously, last year, the interest rates were a lot lower. And so people were willing to bid a lot more. Now that interest rates are quite a bit higher, we're seeing that prices are still lower than last year, even though they've been going up month to month. Now, the number of home sales in Alameda County have gone down year to year 27.3%. So this is, again, related to the inventory problem that we're having. There's not that many homes for sale, which means not a lot of homes are getting sold. Month to month, it's actually an increase of 27.7%. So sales are starting to ramp up as we're getting into the warmer months. This is usually what happens every year. As we start heading into the summer, a lot of sellers start putting their homes on the market a little more. More buyers are active in the summer as well. And so we'll see more sales. Now, unsold inventory in Alameda County in May this year was 1.1 months. That's down 15.4% from the month prior, which means that more inventory is getting sold in May than in April. And year to year, we're down 31.3%, significantly lower amount of homes for sale than there were last year at this time of the year. Now, median time on the market in Alameda County was 11 days this May. That's less than 14 days, so things are still selling pretty fast. That's a 0% change from the month prior, so just as competitive. And it is a 22.2% increase from last year. So, it is easier to get a home this year, but only about 22.2% easier than it was last year in Alameda County. Now, moving on to Contra Costa County, the median price for May this year was $888,000. This is one of the lower priced counties. Some of the most affordable cities in the East Bay are in Contra Costa County. Those being places like San Pablo, Richmond, Martinez. These are all much more fairly priced cities in comparison to a lot of the other counties. Now that is down 1.3% from the month prior. So prices have actually been coming down in Contra Costa County. That's surprising because We're not really going to see that in any of these other counties except for Santa Clara County. And so that's also a decrease of 11.1% from last year. So prices are down in Contra Costa County from last year. Home sales are down 28.4% from last year. That's along the same lines as Alameda County. Month to month is an increase of 29.9%. So sales are starting to ramp up, just like in Alameda County. Those are similar numbers there. In Alameda County, it was 27.7%, and Contra Costa 29.9%. Unsold inventory was 1.1 months in May this year for Contra Costa County. That's exactly the same as Alameda County. It's down 21.4% from the month prior, and it's down 21.4% as well from last year. Now, the median time on market in Contra Costa County was 10 days. So that's 1 day less than Alameda County. That's a 0% change from the month prior, so that means it's just as competitive. And year to year, it's a 25% increase. So last year, it took like 7.5 days for a listing to sell on average. And this year, it's taking 10 in Contra Costa County. All right, now moving on to Marin County. So Marin County had a median price of $1.8 million for this May. That's a 0.6% increase from the month prior. Nothing crazy there, but we are down 9.3% from last year in Marin County. So prices have come down in relation to the increase in interest rates. Home sales are down 24.2% from last year. This again is along the same lines as those other two counties that we've already went through. It's related to the inventory problem we're having. Month to month, it's an increase of 25%. That's the same pattern as the other two counties that we went over. Unsold inventory was 1.8 months in Marin County this May. That's the most inventory we've seen so far, and I think you'll see why once we go into the median time on market. It's taking a lot longer for a listing to sell. Inventory is down 14.3% from the month prior, which is not a great sign. There are some listings in Marin County that are staying on the market. Year to year, it's an increase of 63.6%. So that means that inventory is actually higher in Marin County, which is very surprising. Like I've said before, Marin County is just a little different. People stay there a lot longer, and so the patterns of people listing their homes on the market might be different from these other counties. So looking at the median time on market for Marin County, it was 35 days this May. So it took longer than a month for the average listing to sell in Marin County, which is very different from Alameda and Contra Costa counties because things are moving a lot faster. They're selling on average within the first 2 weeks, actually 10 and 11 days. So things are selling very fast out there. In Marin County, it took 35 days. And that was a decrease of 5.4% from the month prior and an increase of 6.1% from last year. So it looks like they're beginning to sell a little bit faster as we go through this year, but they are still selling slower than they were last year when interest rates were a lot lower. Okay, now moving on to San Francisco County. In San Francisco County, the median price of a single family home was $1.654 million. This is the second highest county we've gone into so far. Marin County is at 1.8 and San Francisco County is at 1.654. So that was an increase of 4.2% from the month prior. This just means that things are starting to heat up in the market. More buyers are out there. It's starting to get a little more competitive. Year to year, prices are down 17.9% though. And this is the largest decrease in prices that we're going to see across the Bay Area. So it looks like San Francisco has been very far overpriced over the last few years, and we're beginning to see a correction. So prices have come down quite a bit since interest rates have started going up last year, and we'll see that in this county, homes are actually staying on the market even longer than Marin County. So that means that people aren't really trying to buy in San Francisco as much anymore because they feel like the prices are still a little unfair. I mean, it's just been way overpriced. A lot of folks moved out of San Francisco over the last few years due to remote work. And so we're seeing that happen. We're seeing prices come down in San Francisco. Now, home sales were down 33.8% year over year. Sales took quite a hit. Month to month, it's an increase of 8.1%. So sales are starting to ramp up from April to May. Unsold inventory was 2.3 months in San Francisco this May. It's a decrease of 4.2% from the month prior and an increase of 53.3% from last year. It looks like a lot more homes are staying on the market, sitting there for a while and not selling. Median time on the market was 44 days in San Francisco this May. That's the most days of any of these counties that we're going into today. It's an increase of 40.3% from the month prior. So, things are just really sitting on the market, and it's a 67.3% increase from last year. So San Francisco County, it's tougher to be a seller there. Buyers aren't really capitulating to these high prices anymore. They're just like, I'm not gonna buy it for that much. There's no competition telling me I have to pay that much. And so a lot of sellers, they still have in their minds that they want to get prices that were more common last year or the year before, and it's just not the case anymore in San Francisco after many people moved out of there. Prices are gonna have to keep coming down. Okay, now moving on to San Mateo County. This is one of the most competitive counties, only beat by Santa Clara County by literally 1 day on the market on average. So the median price in San Mateo County was $2.075 million. This is the highest price county that we're going into today. That's a change of 5.3% from the month prior. So prices are starting to go up a little bit as we get into the warmer months. Year to year, it's a decrease of 7%. Home sales are down 27.3% from the year prior. Home sales are up 49.2% from the month prior. Things are really starting to ramp up a little more. Unsold inventory was 1.9 months this May. That's a very low level of inventory, honestly, but it's doing better than some of these other counties like Alameda or Contra Costa County. And that's a decrease of 26.9% from the month prior and 26.7% increase from the year prior. Now, median time on the market was 9 days this May. So this is the second most competitive county that we're going to look into. Santa Clara County had 8 days in May. That was a decrease of 18.2% from the month prior and a 12.5% increase from last year. Now, lastly, Santa Clara County. This is the most competitive county that we're going to look into. It's not as expensive as San Mateo County though, but the median price was $1.788, which is slightly lower than Marin County. Month to month, that was a 0.7% decrease, almost nothing. And year to year, it is a 7.2% decrease. So prices are 7.2% lower than they were at this time last year, this last May. Home sales are down 15% from last year. Month to month, they have increased 41.4%. Now, unsold inventory was 1.4 months in Santa Clara County this May. That's very, very low. It is a decrease of 26.3% from last month and a decrease of 17.6% from last year. So there's just a lot less for sale, and that is part of the reason why the level of competition is still so high in Santa Clara County. Now, this is really interesting. Median time on the market was 8 days in Santa Clara County this May, and that is a 0% change from the month prior and a 0% change from the last year. Santa Clara County has stayed pretty steady in how competitive it has been over the last year, which is crazy because interest rates were way lower last year, but the time it's taking for a listing to sell is exactly the same as it was last year, which is crazy when you think about it. So it looks like across the board, we're seeing sales are starting to ramp up as we get into the warmer months. A lot more buyers come out. Hopefully sellers will start coming out as we get into the summer. It's kind of unclear what's going to happen with interest rates. I think I've heard that the Fed is planning to increase the federal funds rate one more time next month, which would be July. And so they'll raise it another 0.25%, which could result in, maybe a 0.25% or 0.5% increase in interest rates. But then I've heard that they're going to stop increasing the federal funds rate until the end of the year. And then if everything goes well with inflation and things like that, they may plan to decrease the interest rates next year. If that happens, I'm predicting that a lot of buyers are probably going to jump back into the market at the same time, which is going to drive the prices up again. Even though it's still hard to get in a home as a buyer, you're still up against what I'm seeing is, 2, 3, 5 offers right now. It's still competitive, but it is a lot easier than it was last year because last year it was more like 20, 30 offers. And another thing that I'm seeing, which I didn't see last year, is a lot of listings are staying on the market for quite some time. And so with those, you can come in and you can negotiate and dictate the terms. A lot of these listings have been listed way high when they came on the market, and so that's why they're sitting on the market. So it presents an opportunity for a buyer to come in, negotiate the price down, and not have to compete against a bunch of other buyers. So there is a lot of opportunity out there still. If you're a buyer and if you've been trying to get in the market for a while, honestly, this is one of the easier times that there have been for buyers within the last 5 years. I mean, the last easiest time there was for a buyer was probably 2019. But since the pandemic, it's just been very crazy. We've had low levels of inventory, and so the competition per listing has been high. And that's continuing into this year, although it's a lot lower than it was last year still. So I think prices are going to continue to come down until the end of this year. And so the second half of this year is going to be a pretty good time to start looking for opportunities. As always, if you have any questions about the market or you have any input on what you think is going to happen in the market, please let me know, comment below, DM me. I would love to have a conversation. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And I will talk to you later.